LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Church. A few of you are here. I said good morning. Good morning. Today is Super Bowl Sunday. It is one of the most anticipated days of the year for sports fans. It is one of the most watched games of the year for any other sport, and it'll be televised in more nations than any other sport ever is. Super Bowl Sunday is not just about football, but it's about getting together and having fellowship with friends, and oh, let me tell you, it's about the food. I know just a couple of weeks ago I preached about the new you physically, and today we may have to pray as we get done with this message. But can I tell you today that I'm going to be starting a new series. Now next week we're going to finish up our series, The New You Relationally. But today I'm going to give you a glimpse into our new series entitled Move. Everybody look at your neighbor and say move. And I didn't see anybody get up and move. You need to say move, and you need to mean it. Move means actually moving from one point to another place. In other words, you're going to move from one stationary position to another position. You are literally going to move something in your life. I pray that this series would challenge you to be different at the end of it. I pray that as we walk through these over the next couple of weeks, that you would intentionally think about getting out of a comfort zone and moving somewhere different. Some of you say, well, where am I going to move to? Maybe for some of you, it's just stirring things up a little bit and you're going to move to the opposite sides of the church. Maybe for some of you, you're going to move to different neighborhoods. Maybe for some of you, you're going to switch teams, bless the Lord, and you're going to go to another team, one that wins, and I don't know what that might be, but I see different colors in this audience today, and it is beautiful to see that people come together, and although we can wear different teams, we can be on one team. But today I want to give you something deep in your spirit that hopefully it'll allow you to see that together we are better together. How many of you know that it is easier to do something when you have two people than with just one person? Raise your hand. And so here's the thing. Today we are going to move from where we were to where we're going to be. We're going to move from being here to there. We are going to move. And one of the verses we're going to talk about today is from Proverbs chapter 29, verse number 18. Many of you have heard this. This is actually one that people have quoted many times, and if you've ever been around people, they actually say this a lot, but it simply says, where there is no vision, the people perish. In other words, when there is nowhere to go, when there is nowhere to look forward to, people perish. But it says, he that keeps the law, watch this, is happy. Hello. That means when you have a vision and when you know where you're going and when you keep the law, you're going to be happy. Now, the other thought is those that do not have vision can't run with purpose. However, if you develop a vision for your life, you will be able to run with purpose. How many of you like to have purpose in your life? Raise your hand. All right, some of you do, some of you do not. If you do not like to have purpose, this message will not help you today. But can I tell you, everybody needs a vision for your life. Now, most people, let me just say that I've heard many messages that people say, and I've listened to preachers teach this kind of a message, and they were like, you have to have a vision for everything that you're doing. You have to have a vision for your job. You have to have a vision for your family. You have to have a vision for your finances, and that's all good and well-intended, but here's the problem. What if you don't know how to get a vision? How many of you have ever struggled with what to do in your life? Just wave your hand. Wait, yeah, look at all of us. And we wonder today, how do we find this place in our life to where we know what vision looks like? Well, here's what vision actually looks like. Vision is a picture of a future that creates a passion in people. Let me say that again. This is very important. It's a picture of the future that creates passion inside of you. In other words, it's some picture in your future, a place that you have not yet arrived at, that is going to give you passion for you to move forward. And so here's what I want you to think about today. How many of you have thought about what your future may look like? How many of you have actually dreamed about the moment to where you get somewhere different than you are today? Oh, let me tell you. There are some days you just don't feel like getting up out of bed. Has anybody ever been there and you just got up in the morning and you rolled over and you hit the alarm clock and you hit the alarm clock and you hit the alarm clock and you just did not want to get up? But yet somewhere inside you knew in order for you to get from here to there, you had to move. Let me just say this. One of the greatest things that you can do in the morning is simply move. If you lay there, those covers come up over your body and it begins to snuggle back in, and you can very easily stay in that same position. There is a lot of us that have stayed in the same position spiritually for a long time because we've thought that God was going to come in and just stir us up. But can I tell you, sometimes He just expects you to move and do something about it. Now, as we're going to walk forward today, I want to give you some things. John Maxwell says this: where there is faith in the future, there is hope in the present. President Kennedy on May the 25th, 1961, gave Americans hope, and he told them this. He said, "We choose to go to the moon." Now, I want to focus on that just for a moment. No one had ever been on the moon before. This was an idea that was so far-fetched that nobody could even comprehend it. But for the next few years, it took people's vision from what was right in front of them into the sky. They began to look at what is the possibilities. Imagine the possibilities of us moving from here to there. Imagine the possibilities of us sending someone to the moon. That vision inspired people to make the necessary changes to get someone on the moon. My question for you today is, what vision do you have to get your mind thinking upwards instead of where you're at currently? You have to have a purpose in order to move. Now, there's some things that I want to give to you real quickly as we walk through this in order to set you up to receive. First thing is this: you've got your current present at one point, watch this, was your past future. Where you are today used to be your future. In other words, you didn't think about it, but yet yesterday you thought that one day tomorrow may come, and guess what? Tomorrow is here. So now what is today used to be your future yesterday. You're like, oh, that's too deep to think this morning. Let me give you another thing. Are you ready? It's the little things in your life that are going to defeat big futures. Let me say this: it's not the big things that are often going to distract you. It's the little distractions in your life that will cause you not to receive the big future. It's the little things. Somebody says a comment and you've ruined your day. Somebody says something about the way your hair looked and it's over. Somebody pulls out in front of you and no longer can you have a good day. It's the little things. It's never really the big things. It's the small things, and the enemy wants nothing more than you to focus on those little things so that you don't accomplish the big things. Number 3, what you see there will determine whether or not you leave here. In other words, if I see something greater on the other side, I'm more than likely willing to leave where I'm at today to get there. Now, let me tell you the problem with this. A lot of people are so comfortable right where we are here. Can I tell you something right now? I've seen my there, and I am looking to getting there instead of here. I've seen and dreamed what this church can be 5, 6, 10, 12, 20 years from now, and I am looking for my there. In other words, I'm not happy here, so I'm going to do everything I can to get there. And if any of you have ever been unhappy here, you need to get there. Are you getting it? We're moving from here to there. Some of you may stay here for a long time. But now watch, this is the 4th thing you got to get, is how you get there will determine how long you stay there. In other words, if you go there with purpose, then when you get there, you're going to want to stay there. But if you just take detours along the way, you're never going to get to where you need to be. Can I tell you, there are things in your life that are going to distract you from getting to where you need to go, and only you can make the choice whether you're going to get there or not. In other words, will the small distractions in your life going to keep you from getting to where God has for you? So God, here it is. I'm moving from here to there. Now, there are 5 phases of your journey to move from here to there. Now, this is very important. In order to get from here to there, you've got to start somewhere. All right? Let me say that again. That was pretty deep. In order to get from here to there, you've got to start somewhere. So the first thing you need to understand is you have to have what I call beginning momentum. In other words, there has to be something inside of you that kicks you started, that gets you started. Now, today there is a game that's going to take place in just a couple of hours, and it's called the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl is one of those games that teams have been preparing for all year long. As a matter of fact, from the very beginning of training camp last year, there were things drawn on the board that says we are here as an organization, but our end goal is to get to there. In other words, our end goal is to make it to the big game. Now, there were a lot of teams try to make it to the big game. A lot of different teams played their heart out and played their very best to get to the big game. As a matter of fact, just a couple of weeks ago, one of my teams was close to the big game until another team came in and defeated them. Because they had their mindset, because they were going to go there and not let the middle stuff get caught up. So they had a momentum that was going to push them from the preseason to the first, second, third, fourth game, all the way through the playoffs now to where they are today. They had a beginning place that got them started in order to get them moving in the right direction. Well, maybe today this message will be what gets you moving in the right direction. Maybe today you will leave here and somebody will come up to you and say, it's gonna be okay. Proverbs says, for a man's steps are from the Lord. can I tell you that some of the things that you do, your steps are ordered by the Lord. Some of you said, well, I just thought I'm the one taking my steps. Well, let me just say this again. If you are following God, then your steps are ordered by God, which means every step you take, there is a purpose and there is an intention behind it if you allow God to be the one to move you forward. Now, can I tell you that we have walked in steps that are not God's? So a lot of you are, a football coach will come in and he'll do a lot of this. He'll draw a lot of X's on there and he'll draw a lot of O's on there. And so you've got X's and X's and O's represent the plays or the players, and the plays or the players are going to be from how you get from, they're going to draw out the plays, and you'll have your line, which will look something like this. Now, I want to show you this. Now that you've got X's and O on here, I want to show you where you are today. Today, we are here. And I'm going to put a big H in there, because that means where you are today, you are here. All right? Now, in order for us to stay here, we have to realize where we are. And a lot of us are right here. But in order for us to do the play that we are called to do, we've got to get from here to there. All right, now watch. In order for me to get from here to there, I have to do what? I have to move. In order for me to get out of this place, to get to that place, I have to make a conscious decision to move forward. I have to make a conscious decision that I'm not going to stay in the same place that I've been for a long time. The problem is, in order for me to get from here to there, I have to move in the direction of my there. Oh, that's deep. But what happens is, what if I get distracted of moving in my direction from my here to there? Then my direction begins to change. And it puts me in the wrong place at the wrong time and doing the wrong things. And I never fully get to where I'm supposed to go. Now watch this. A lot of us start with good intentions here, and by the time we try to get to there's something in the middle right here, which is we often talk about as the middle ground. Now I want you to look at that for a moment, and we'll get right back to it. But I wonder how many of you have ever got caught in the middle? You had a beginning momentum and you were like, I'm gonna move from here to here, but when you got to here, there was something that happened when you got towards the middle. And can I tell you, the middle ground is the place that you must learn to fight. Now, I'm gonna need some help to prove my point here. And I've asked a specific young man to come and help me, and he's gonna come and help me do this right. Now, come on, Braden, well, we're gonna see how this works. In the beginning of the game, they're going to kick off to one team that receives the kick. And the kickoff team is going to receive the kick into their territory. Or they're going to receive it, and if they touch it back, they're going to touch it back, and it's going to touch back, and they're going to say, they received the ball in the Kansas City territory. In other words, they've got momentum, but they're starting on their side of the field. And something happens, though, now watch this, when they begin to move from the here, which is their territory, to the there, which is the opponent's territory. In order for them to get from here to there, they have to go through the middle, which is there's a place in the middle, and it's called the 50-yard line. Now, the 50-yard line is the place to where once you get one step over the yard line, then it puts you into what? The opponent's territory. Oh, my. There's a lot of us that have lived our fight in our territory. We've been so concerned about not fumbling the ball here that we never take the small steps to get there. We're never willing to fight in the middle. But I want to show you this real quick. The Bible, as we begin to move forward, you need to understand it's the middle that you learn to take what you can get and move one step forward at a time. Now watch this. There are two basic plays. All right, in a football game, there's two plays. There's a running play. Now watch this. Braden's going to be the running back. Sometimes you'll say hut, and God will hike the ball to you, and before you even get to the line, he's going to give you something in order to move forward. He's going to give you a little bit of blessing in order for you to be prepared when you get there. Oh, hang on, y'all. This is better preaching than y'all are even acting. He's going to give you a blessing, and he's going to put it in your arms. Ready? Hang on. And he's going to put it there so that when you get to the line, stop. When you get to the line, you're going to be ready to fight whatever is there. Now watch this. If Braden doesn't get any further, then back to the line, but 1 foot past. Did he gain any ground? And he moved closer to his there than his here. Can I tell you, the church too often gets mad at little new Christians that are just trying to get it right, that don't make a touchdown every play. They mess up, they fumble sometimes, they don't get to where they're supposed to get. But can I tell you, if you are moving towards the right direction, it doesn't matter how far you've gotten. Just take what ground you can and fight in the middle. Brady can either choose to fight or he can lay down. And this is where the world is today. This is where the church is. The enemy wants us to give up at the 50-yard line. The enemy wants us to give up when we get to the middle, because he knows that if we get into his territory, that we're beginning to tread on what was his, and he can keep us from crossing over to the other side, then there is no way we're going to receive the victory. But I want to show you something. This is where you look for. When you step over to the other side, then you begin to look for ending momentum. In other words, when I get past this side and I look to that side, I can see the end zone in sight. Hello. There's something about the end zone, y'all. There's something about when you get from your side of the field to the other side of the field and you see that end zone, that it gives you a little momentum to keep going. There's something about getting from here to there that allows you to get that extra effort. Ephesians chapter 6, verse number 10, come here, Braden, says, finally be strong in the Lord and the strength of his might. When we are strong in God, it is his strength that will carry us through to the end. But I want to step back and I want to show you something. In Matthew chapter 17, now Braden's going to stay right here and he's going to be real still. And he's going to let me teach this verse. Because this is the Lord talking, the Lord talking to his disciples. Jesus talking to his disciples. And his disciples have come in and they were trying to cast out a devil in this man. And they were like, Lord, why couldn't we cast it out? And this is what Jesus said. This is where the whole series comes from. He says to you, because of your little faith. And he says, look, you don't have enough faith. He says, but I say to you, if you have a simple faith of a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, here's the title, here's where the series come from, and here's where you need to focus on. He says, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing, I said nothing, will be impossible for you. Slowly. And what's going to happen is as the receiver runs the route, while he's there, he has to move without the blessing being in his hand. Now watch this. Oftentimes before the receiver even looks for the ball, Braden, you got to be ready. When the receiver looks for the ball, the blessing is already in the air. I want you to see this again. Sometimes we have to run the route not knowing if God will show up and delivering what he has for us. And we have to trust that when we get there, that God will have already thrown the ball and released the blessing. And we just have to move in order to get to the blessing. Hello. And when we get there, God's got the blessing on the way. In other words, he's already set us up to succeed. The Bible says in Galatians chapter 5, verse number 25, if we live by the Spirit, let us also keep in step with the Spirit. In other words, if we begin to live and allow God to change us on the inside, we're going to make the steps that he has called us to make according to his word. We're not going to make the wrong decisions. Now watch this. Braden, come back here. Sometimes we run our own routes. Go, Braden, run your route. Sometimes We run our own routes in our life, and we try to tell God where to throw the ball. And God wants us to know that we don't tell him how to throw the ball. We don't tell him what the play looks like. We listen to what the play is, and we run what he calls according to his plan. And when we are listening and running the plays according to his plan, it always seems to work, because watch what happens. Sometimes God knows that if we run that post pattern right up the middle, that there are 3 defenders standing there, and he's going to get hit by the safety and the cornerback and the linebacker at the same time. So God says, look, I'm not going to put you in the middle to where all the trouble's going to be. I'm going to send you on an out route where nobody's going to be, so that I can throw you all to the out route, and the out route's wide open. Because had you went in the middle, the enemy would have been there. Somebody needs to know today that God's been trying to keep you out of the middle ground so that the enemy could not get you. Braden, come back over here before you fall off. Now watch this. You've got to get this. You've got to move toward the blessing and take your ground. Oh, somebody. When you move towards the blessing and take your ground, you will be able to take the ground. You will move into the enemy's territory. Now watch this. You don't stop when you receive the ball. The enemy loves nothing more than him to receive it right here on the 50 and to turn around. Can I stop? We'll stop right there. I want to show you something. The enemy will allow you to catch things from God as long as he doesn't think you're going to do anything with it. He would allow you to catch it in the middle as long as he thinks you're not going to cross into his territory. He will allow you to have the wide open pass because he knows the only way you win is if you get to the end zone. Now watch this. If we are truly moving from here to there and we're not going to allow the middle to stop us, then we will see the end zone in sight, and we will move until we get to the victory. What's the victory? Anybody want to take a guess? We get into the end zone. And when you get into the end zone, go get in the end zone. Stop in the end zone. When you get in the end zone, you do what? You got to have a dance. You better show me your touchdown dance. All right. Hey, there we go. Can I tell you today, too many of us times we score and we don't celebrate what God has done. Too many times we don't make it. We get to the end zone and we don't give God praise from what he brought us from. Too many times we get stuck in the middle, and when we get there, we don't realize that we've arrived there, and we think that God's not blessed us. But can I tell you, when God gives you the blessing and you get into the end zone, you need to learn how to celebrate what he's done for you. Folks, can I tell you this morning, he got you up this morning. He stirred you up this morning. He's given you hope this morning. He's gotten you from here to there this morning. He's given you a future this morning. And so watch this. In Numbers chapter 33, verse number 53. Moses is taking the children of Israel to the place that they were going to. They were taking them out of place of bondage and slavery, Egypt, and he was taking them to the promised land. Now let me just tell you a little bit about how the trip looked. Remember how we talked about how you get from here to there is going to determine how long you stay there? Some of us get caught up in the middle. Can I tell you, the children of Israel wandered for a long time, 40 years to be exact, in the wilderness. And they thought that they could never get there. But here's what the Bible says in Numbers chapter 33, verse number 53. And it says, "And you shall take possession of the land and settle in it. For I have given you the land to possess it." In other words, you're going to go in and you're going to take it. Now, the second part of the verse actually says something like this. He says, look, if you don't go in and take it, then the enemy is going to keep it under its control. And at the end, you're never going to be able to possess what rightfully is yours. Oh, church, let me just talk to you for a moment. For far too long, we've been allowing the enemy to keep what's rightfully ours. He's messed with some of your minds for far too long. He's messed with some of your influences for far too long. He's kept a lot of you right here. And you've got stuck in the middle when you had to fight. Well, can I tell you this morning, it's time to move. It's time to forget about what happened yesterday. It's time to forget about the hurt, the pain, the issues that happened yesterday. And it's time to move into your future. It's time to move, cross over into the enemy's territory, and begin to take back what is yours.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm.